Hello and welcome to Homicide Hobbies. I'm Andy,
And I'm Claire.
and we're here to talk about some of the disturbing things that go on in the world, past and present. We feel like not knowing doesn't mean the crazy doesn't exist.
So we're going to scar you with the knowing.
Enjoy. So what do you got for us today, Claire Bear?
Today, we're headed to a special place that has unique features like the Mary Cemetery.
I got a question.
Already?
Uh-huh. You're going to have to restart. But is this the one that we're going to release for Halloween?
Well, so I've got two that are potentials, but I figure since it's spooky season, that you can pick which one.
Well, I don't know what your cases are.
I know.
Like, you know how we started off with it's a happy Halloween kind of deal? It's a happy Halloweeny.
But it's not releasing on Halloween, so it can still just be the spooky season.
All right. Take two!
You're supposed to go.
Well, I went to clap, but then realized my finger is still broken. And
Take three!
go! What do you got for us, Claire?
So today we're headed to a special place that has unique features like the Mary Cemetery, where graves are decorated with colorful, funny pictures and poems about the deceased's life. This place also has the fastest speeds of the internet in the world.
Ooh, we need to put you there.
I feel like you can rule out Alabama because we just got high-speed internet.
Is it high speed, though?
Good one. A real knee slapper. Any guesses?
No.
Its capital city was nicknamed Little Paris.
I feel like I should know this.
I feel like you don't know this. I feel like there's a lot of places that claim they're Little Paris.
Yeah, but I can't think of any.
It's kind of like narrowing down which state has the capital of a cardinal or a bird for their... I fucked that all up.
Is New York?
I don't know. I feel like everybody makes up weird little nicknames. But anyway, you'll never guess. We're headed to Romania.
What? I have never heard of that before. Did you verify your facts?
So evidently Bucharest is Little Paris.
All right.
You can Google it.
Nah, I trust you.
But I'd never heard it either. I don't know that anybody potentially outside Romania knows either.
So what are we doing in Romania?
So we're going to go real far back in the 1400s.
Holy moly.
So when you were a child.
Excuse me, ma'am. According to my children, I was born in the 1900s, not the 1400s.
It was just funnier, and I like how it sounded like you dropped your mic to grab. Anyway, this is serious.
I can't tell.
So imagine you're riding through the forests of Wallachia in 1460.
I can't, because I don't know what Wallachia looks like.
If you would shut your pie hole.
Oh, it's going to be like that today, huh? Mean.
Just imagine you're in a forest then. The air is thick, heavy, damp with the stench of decay.
Ugh.
You crest a hill, and there, spread before you, is a nightmare that even hell itself might recoil from. A forest, but not of trees. 20,000 corpses impaled on wooden stakes sharpened to spears. Men, women, children. Their skin gray and splintering in the sun, their mouths locked in screams that never ended. Some are fresh, still dripping with blood. Others bloated and purple, sway with the weight of rot. While ravens circle overhead, their wings heavy with human flesh.
You can't see my face right now, but it's definitely scrunched up and like I can smell.
Yeah.
I can smell that.
Well, this is no campfire story. No gothic novel, no whispered superstition about vampires. This is the handiwork of a man who walked this earth. A man so ruthless, so sadistic, that his legend blended into fiction. He's none other than Vlad III, son of the dragon, better known to history as Vlad the Impaler.
Hey, we watched a movie on him.
So then you should have guessed.
Okay. Little Paris was not referenced in our movie.
Then you weren't paying attention.
I promise you I was. Anyway, continue on with Vlad.
Well, go ahead. You can tell the story. Nothing? All right.
You sound quite hostile today.
Well, I'll be curious if you remember his story. Do you just have, like, did you sleep through it or did you remember it?
No, I kind of napped on and off.
Okay, well, pretend to be surprised for everyone else who hasn't heard it.
It's one of those, his name sounds familiar, I know we watched something on him, and it'd probably be like one of those where, have you ever rewatched a movie and you're like, oh, yeah, I forgot that happened in this? It's one of those.
No, just kidding. So, how does a man become the architect of such terror? To answer that, we're going to have to rewind some more to the land of Wallachia and the chaos that forged him. So, Wallachia was a principality carved out in the 1300s. It's nestled between the Carpathian Mountains and the Danube River. Now, to the north and west is the Kingdom of Hungary. To the east is Moldova. To the south is the rising power of the Ottoman Empire. So, this is a land that's caught between giants. The princes of Wallachia walked a razor's edge. Pay tribute to Hungary to survive, bow to the Sultan to keep your throne, betray one master and risk invasion, defy both and risk annihilation. And then there are going to be the boyars. They're the noble families of Wallachia, fickle, ambitious, ruthless, one day pledging loyalty to Hungary, the next swearing to the Ottomans, always looking for a chance to switch sides, to topple a prince, or to seize a fortune. Now, this was not a kingdom of peace, it was a viper's nest. Now, Vlad is born in 1431 in Transylvania. Vlad was not raised in peace. His father, Vlad II, Drakule, was a member of the Knightly Order of the Dragon, sworn to defend Christian Europe against the Ottoman Empire. The name Drakule meant the dragon, but in local tongue it also meant something darker, the devil. That made his son Dracula, the son of the dragon, or the son of the devil. Vlad's own father, Vlad II, though he belonged to the Knightly Order of the Dragon, that Christian brotherhood sworn to fight, he still paid tribute to the Ottomans, kind of by your safety. He would even go as far to send his sons, Vlad III and Radu, as insurance to kind of guarantee his loyalty to them. But then that's going to cause the boyars to turn on him, and they're going to kill his dad. That's in 1447. So Vlad II is ambushed and assassinated. Now, his eldest son is captured, tortured, and buried alive. Now, mind you, his two children are still, his other two children, that is, are still in the Ottoman captivity. Vlad is just 11 years old. And I realize at that point, 11 isn't as young as it's thought of today, but it's still young and impressionable. Now, Vlad and his brother are going to be captive for 6 long years. Through his adolescence, from boyhood into manhood, he lived in enemy hands. 6 years in the hands of an empire that ruled by terror. 6 years walking courtyards filled with corpses on stakes. 6 years seething with rage, brooding on betrayal, learning that power came not from mercy, but from fear. Now, in the palace and camps of Sultan Mehmed II and later Mehmed II, the future conqueror of Constantinople, young Vlad saw cruelty institutionalized. Prisoners of war were whipped, branded, flayed alive. Rebels were roasted over coals or broken on wheels, bones shattered piece by piece. And then impaled. The punishment that would one day bear Vlad's name was already a weapon of the Ottoman terror. Vlad would watch men hoisted on stakes, their screams stretching for hours, their bodies left as warnings. He smelled the stench of decay. He heard the pleas of those waiting their fate. Every day he walked through courtyards of those corpses. Now Radu, his younger brother, he adapted. He learned their language, adopted their customs, even grew close to the Sultan. Some say he embraced it. I think it's because he was younger and I think he was easierly manipulated.
Yeah.
But Vlad, he didn't bend. He hardened, he brooded, he learned that mercy meant weakness, that survival belonged only to those willing to outmatch cruelty with cruelty. So when he finally returned to Wallachia at about 17 years old, he didn't come back as a boy. He came back as a man who had studied torture at its source and was ready to perfect it. He carried the lessons he learned from his capture like a brand on his soul. And into the cauldron of chaos, Vlad Dracula stepped onto the stage. The boy who had seen the stake would become the man who made it his signature. Now, Wallachia was a land where rulers rose and fell like leaves in the wind, where betrayal came from every corner, foreign empires, local nobles, even family. When Vlad returned to Wallachia, he found his homeland in chaos. Noble families were fractured, torn between loyalty to Hungary in the west and the Ottoman Empire in the east. His father already dead, his older brother tortured and buried alive, and young Vlad had vengeance in his veins. There's too many fucking V's in this. He claimed the throne in 1456, but to secure it, he had to deal with the treacherous nobles who had betrayed his family. So on Easter Sunday, 1457, the boyars of Wallachia gathered at his court. They came dressed in silks and gold, prepared for a feast. Wine flowed, music played, laughter filled the great hall. Vlad himself raised a cup to a toast. Then his voice dropped. He reminded them of their betrayal. At first, they laughed nervously, unsure if it was a jest. But then Vlad clapped his hands. Soldiers dragged in several of his own household servants. Without hesitation, they were impaled right there. Before the feast was even cleared from the table, Vlad watched with cold satisfaction, studying his guests' reactions. Did they flinch? Did they gag? Did they dare look away? He had seen this before in Ottoman courts, but where they wielded cruelty as punishment, Vlad turned it into performance. Only after the nobles had seen the agony of the impaled did Vlad order his soldiers to turn on them. Some boyars were executed on the spot, their screams echoing off the stone walls. Others, men, women, and even the elderly, were forced onto a death march. As they stumbled out of the great hall, they were herded past the still twitching bodies of Vlad's servants, skewered like grotesque signposts on the road to their doom.
Jesus.
The boyars marched for miles into the mountains, driven with whips, denied food and water. Survivors, if you could call them that, were enslaved, forced to build Vlad's fortress. Others collapsed where they stood, their bones buried beneath the stone walls they were forced to raise. It was not vengeance, it was his own personal theater. Soon Vlad's reign became infamous for a single horrifying practice: impalement. The process was deliberate, designed for maximum pain. Victims were stripped naked, laid on the ground, and a stake, sharpened but smooth, was driven into their anus or vagina. Sometimes through the abdomen, chest, or mouth. Then the stake was raised upright, and the body's own weight dragged it down slowly.
I'm going to throw up.
Death did not come quickly. Some writhed for hours, some for days.
That's disgusting.
This was no accident. It was a method he had absorbed in captivity, twisted into an art of domination. Chronicles describe forests of the impaled, entire villages raised on stakes. Women accused of adultery were mutilated and then displayed. Infants were skewered and hung from their mothers' breasts. And Vlad, according to Saxon records, would sit among them feasting, dipping his bread into basins of blood as if it were wine.
Tasty. Well, he's not low on iron.
Well, to Vlad, cruelty was not just a tool of justice, it was a weapon of terror. One the Ottomans had shown him, one he now had perfected. So by the early 1960s, Vlad's conflict with the Ottoman Empire reached its peak. Sultan Mehmed II, the same ruler who had conquered Constantinople, marched in Wallachia with an army said to number over 150,000 men. And what did they find when they approached Vlad's capital city? Not resistance, not an army, but a forest. That very forest of the impaled. Tens of thousands of corpses on those wooden stakes stretched for miles. Men with their intestines spilling from their bellies, women with their breasts hacked off, children dangling like grotesque fruit from tall poles, dogs, horses, even livestock skewered among them. That stench also carried for miles.
I'm sure it did.
Ottoman soldiers covered their faces, gagging, retching. Some vomited where they stood. Even hardened soldiers, elite warriors, were shaken. The Sultan himself was said to have turned his horse away, declaring, "It is not possible to defeat a man who can do such things." Irony dripped from every corpse. The very empire that once showed Vlad the stake now recoiled before the perfected version of it. The Forest of the Impaled was Vlad's signature act of terror, but his reign dripped with countless smaller horrors. He once invited the beggars and sick of his capital city to a banquet. After feeding them well, he locked the doors and set the hall ablaze. The poor roasted alive, their screams clawing at the night sky. Vlad only declared it was mercy that their suffering was over.
I have the biggest stink face right now. I mean, this is disgusting, Claire.
Well, the more I learned of this feller, the more it was just like, my God. And I like the fact that he invited the poor of his city, was feeding them. I'm sure they were feeling like he was the nicest, bestest person. And then he set it ablaze only to be like casually like, well, their suffering's over.
What's the purpose in having your own kingdom if you're going to just kill all of them?
Well, so he could have his power. Power was in terror.
Yes, but when you're
So the scarier he was, I mean, I get if you kill everyone, you're ruling over no one.
right.
But if everybody's afraid of you, then it kind of makes it so nobody's challenging you either. And it kind of worked because the fact that the Ottomans were marching there and then were like, I ain't going here.
Yeah. That's disgusting.
Foreign merchants who tried to cheat Wallachian customs were boiled alive in great cauldrons, their flesh sloughed off as the smell of the burning fat filled the marketplace. A woman was once impaled for failing to mend her husband's shirt quickly enough, her body displayed with the needles still clenched in her fingers.
Okay. Her husband's a dick.
Every act, though, was a spectacle. Every punishment, theater. Vlad didn't just kill, he performed death. But the blood that soaked his land could not protect him forever. His enemies would multiply. The nobles he hadn't killed whispered against him. His younger brother, Radu, once his companion in the Ottoman captivity, turned against him, siding with the Sultan. Even his allies in Hungary grew weary of his cruelty. I thought it was kind of funny because there's the chronicles that Vlad will complain that people wanted him to stop impaling people so much. And he just wanted to do what he wanted to do, and people are complaining he's impaling too many people.
I would be afraid to complain because I feel like just the complaint itself is going to.
That person probably got
Yeah.
Well, his allies, so I feel like it was through letters, but like Hungary particular was like, perhaps maybe like, I know we're allies, but maybe you won't develop so many enemies if you stop putting sticks up their asses. But so he would complain about not being able to do what he wanted to do. But they're going to grow weary of his cruelty. I feel like his brother was the same way, that he's clearly going above and beyond what he needs to be doing. And he's not seeing anything wrong with it. So I feel like that's why everybody is whispering behind him and
Scared?
Yeah. So by 1462, after his campaign of terror against the Ottomans, Vlad fled into Transylvania. He rode hard, seeking safety and aid from the King of Hungary, but instead of refuge, he found chains. The king arrested him. He had little interest in provoking a war with the Ottomans, so it was easier to turn against Vlad. Then the Saxon merchants, the Ottomans, enemies of Vlad, delivered him a gift. Lurid pamphlets printed in Germany filled with tales of boiling cauldrons, mutilated women, and his forest of the impaled. These pamphlets painted Vlad not as a warrior, but as a mad butcher. So Vlad was imprisoned, and there in dungeons and towers he languished for a decade. Some chronicles say he lived in filth, gnawing on rats to survive.
Ugh.
Others whisper that he still caught birds and mice, sharpening straws of hay into tiny little stakes, still impaling even in captivity.
I mean, straw's not that strong.
I said the same thing. I was like, I feel like this was like the National Enquirer printings of
Yeah.
1400s. Because I don't know, like, unless it's a cooked mouse already, I don't know that you could take a straw and impale anything with it.
And it better be a slow cooked mouse because
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be some tough meat.
Yeah.
That's really vile, by the way, because I just pictured trying to impale a mouse. And again, you've definitely got my gag reflex.
Well, this feller did not have shortage of fuck-uppery. But the cruelty he had learned in the Ottoman courts, the cruelty he had perfected in Wallachia, he could not put it down. The world outside his cell was changing. Vlad wasn't. The Ottomans pressed deeper into Europe. Moldova's prince, Stephen the Great, Vlad's own cousin, begged for allies against the encroaching tide, and the King of Hungary realized that, monster or not, Vlad was also something else. He was a weapon. So the man who had once made the Sultan himself turn away in disgust might yet be useful. So in 1475, after 12 long years, Vlad Dracula was released. To solidify his return to Wallachian politics, he married into Hungarian nobility. He married a cousin of the king's wife, and with that, Vlad began to raise his banner once more. In 1476, with the backing of Hungarian troops and Moldovan allies, Vlad struck against his rival, supported by the Ottomans. After bloody fighting, Vlad reclaimed his throne for the third time. The dragon's son sat in power, but his reign lasted only months. In late 1476, he was ambushed either by Ottoman forces or betrayed by Wallachians who had grown weary of his cruelty.
I wouldn't trust him either.
And on the battlefield, Vlad fell. His body was hacked apart, his head severed and sent in a jar of honey to Constantinople, where it was mounted on a pike. The Impaler impaled. His third reign, though it was the shortest, it was also his last. When Vlad Dracula's head was paraded through Constantinople, the people celebrated the fall of a tyrant. To them, he was not a man at all, but a devil in human flesh. Yet in Wallachia, something more complicated took root. To some of his countrymen, Vlad was not a monster, he was a protector, the man who defied the Ottomans when others bent the knee, the ruler who enforced others so brutally that a golden cup could be left unattended in the town square and left there without fear of theft. Fear and admiration, terror and respect. He was both executioner and savior. Centuries later, an Irish writer named Bram Stoker stumbled upon his name, Dracula. He borrowed it for a Gothic novel in 1897. His Count Dracula was a supernatural predator, a vampire haunting the fog-shrouded streets of London. But the real Dracula, the man who impaled children and dined among corpses, needed no fangs, no immortality, no coffin. His horror was real, his victims were flesh and blood, his legend soaked in gore. Sometimes history is darker than fiction. Even today, debates rage. Was Vlad a sadist who reveled in blood, or a ruler who used terror as weapon, forged fear into power? What we know is this. Behind every vampire tale, every Halloween costume, every flickering candle carved into a jack-o'-lantern, lurks the shadow of a man who made entire armies tremble and an entire nation weep. We fear the vampire because it drinks blood, but the real Dracula, he feasted on fear itself.
He also dipped his bread in blood.
Mm-hmm. And it's not, I want to suck your blood, it's, I want to soak your blood. Or your bread. But Dave also wanted to let you know that if you were curious what kind of wood was used in those pikes or spikes.
I was not.
He did look it up. They just used whatever was around, so any of the local
Gee,
wood,
you think?
beech, fir, oak, they were commonly used for those pikes for impaling. I didn't think they'd be shopping around for a 4x4 to sharpen.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate your input there, feller. Hey, so I just looked it up. The movie that we watched is called Dracula Untold. It's on Netflix. You guys should watch it.
Okay.
It's definitely a Hollywood version of the disgusting story you just told, but
It's
you guys-
horrifying.
it
And
is.
it's just one of those of, that actually happened. There was somebody who's sick and twisted. Ugh.
They were really twisted back then, and I feel like the noble families also, because they were inbred, keeping everything within their bloodline, kind of led to why some of these kings and queens and noble people were so batshit crazy.
Well, I feel like it still trickles over to today a little bit in the sense that you can kind of make a psychopath with, I mean, he dealt with all that for 6 years of only knowing cruelty and abuse.
Yeah.
So he, instead of being maintaining still, I mean, he's still a victim to a certain point, but he became the abuser, which isn't exactly outside the realm of what happens today.
You know who he needed to marry is that what's her name?
Bloody Mary.
No, that's Henry VIII's daughter. No, the Countess Elizabeth Bathory. She was a Hungarian countess from 1560 to
Andrew, he'd already been
1614.
dead.
I know, but she's known because she would capture virgins and
Oh, and bathe in their blood.
yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a real problem with people back in the day.
They estimated she killed 300 people just to bathe in their blood.
Well, in case you were curious, Wallachia still stands.
Well, I'm sure they're pleased with their history. Which, by the way, when you said that he was their savior, no, I just simply reference the infants that he killed, no, that was not necessary. The woman, for example, that died because she didn't sew her husband's shirt fast enough, no, that's called
He
unnecessary.
was probably a hero to that guy because I just said for some, I feel like I can understand where it would make sense because the Ottoman Empire were also scary people. They were doing the impaling before Vlad was. So, in the idea of if you were doing what you were supposed to be doing as you were supposed to be doing it, he was making enough fear to keep the enemies at bay until he just crossed the line of crazy. But so he had a little bit of that fear protecting that town, where again, other places would, and even his dad tried to keep peace with them by even borrowing out his children as insurance of his loyalty.
You know how they say like cannibals go crazy? I don't know what it is, but if you dine on the flesh of your own, it makes you crazy or some nonsense like that. I don't know if there's any truth behind it, but maybe that's what made him completely snap was the dining on their blood. Maybe it doesn't have to be the flesh itself, but
Yeah.
the slobbering of the blood. Ugh.
Well, so I thought it was interesting because Wallachia still stands and you can still go visit that area.
Transylvania.
Now, mind you, Bucharest is a bustling city of nearly 2 million, alive with traffic and not a carriage wagon and full of fog, but it's still a touristy spot. You can still go where the crumbling steps of Vlad's fortress was. You can still wander the cobble streets. There's another castle where they do call it Dracula's castle. However, Vlad never lived there. But it's a touristy thing. It's still a castle.
Is that Transylvania or did he actually live in Transylvania?
No, it's in Targashvi, but he did flee to Transylvania, but it's like same area. But again, to Romanians, he remains complicated, a cruel tyrant to some, a national hero to others, because he's the ruler who fought the Ottomans with unflinching brutality where no one else was. So now again, so just like Transylvania, that still exists. It's also real, nestled in the heart of Romania, ringed by the Carpathian Mountains. It's still a land of rolling hills, medieval towns, and villages frozen in time. And if you didn't know it, in Latin, Transilvia, which is where it got its name, means the land beyond the forest. And 7 million people live there. Generally farmers tending vineyards, stuff like that. But very gothic-y town. And like I said, people go to visit the castles in that area, and it sounds like a real cool place. But it is modern, it is thriving, but it's also timeless because in Transylvania, myth and reality still walk side by side. And that's where I have been itching to tell you we're going next year.
Who?
Me and Dave. 2026, we're headed to Romania.
All right.
Because guess what? Did you know in October is an off season for European travel and it's cheaper to fly to Europe than it is to fly within the United States?
Are you now a travel agent?
No. Okay, so Romanian currency, I don't know why it's so cheap, but when we were planning our trip to Colorado, that it was just like it would be cheaper for us to go to or more expensive to go to Colorado than it would be for us to travel to Romania. And even though I realize Bron Castle is not it's not really Dracula's castle, but we're going next year for Halloween because evidently they do a Halloween party that's torch lit and it's like medieval times, everybody's dressed to period, and I think that'll be so fun.
That sounds fun.
I mean, I don't know if we're actually gonna go, but I hope we do. And I still don't understand how it's cheaper to fly to Europe.
No, that doesn't make sense to me.
$500
Round trip?
Yep.
That's not bad. But you've been sick a real long time that you were that excited about that case.
Well, so I was so excited because he is a real sick feller, but it made me stumble on all the history, and I realize everywhere has their history that's fascinating, but I dove headfirst into Romanian history, and it seems like a very cool area to wander around. And like they have like a little train ride that you can take, and it seems very exciting. Now, mind you, part of it made me a little nervous because it's so mountainy and I guess rocky roads and all that on mountains and everything. So they're like, definitely drive during the day. And I did like some blinking. Like, I don't want to fall off a ledge.
Yeah.
But it looks very cool that you get to tour around in a castle. And Dave said he would be up for castle touring because there's 2 castles in particular that are near each other. One is the Dracula's castle. I have been planning that trip all week.
Nice. Is that why you didn't want to specify when you were telling me?
Well, if I would have told you about flying to Romania, you would have been like, well, that seems random. And then and then you would have guessed it today.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell you anything, and it was super difficult because everybody at the pharmacy is tired of hearing Romanian tidbits.
Well, I got news for them. They get to listen to you until next year.
Initially, I thought that it'd take more convincing for Dave, so I was planning it for 2027. And then when I got home and I told Dave, he's like, why 2027? And I was like, so I can plan, because I don't want to go there and then miss things because I didn't know they existed. So I wanted plenty of time to prepare.
It's going to take you 2 years to prepare.
Okay, Dave Jr.
There's already one of those.
Yeah. Dave Jr. That was the
There's
reaction.
already one of those too.
So I already got that reaction of, you need 2 years to prepare for a trip. And I was like, fine. And then it turns out that if we go next year, Halloween falls on Saturday. And apparently the Saturday closest to Halloween is when they do the Dracula's Castle Halloween party. So that seems cool that it actually falls on Halloween. And he was like, well, let's go this October. And I was like, okay, that's giving me anxiety because I really haven't done enough research.
Yeah, Dave, she needed 2 years to plan, not a month.
Do
you not know your wife?
I was like, not gonna lie, I feel a little panicked right now just thinking of the prospect because I haven't planned anything, but it's just not being able to have that conversation with you has messed with me. But I'm going to try to dial it down, and I feel like because I haven't been able to tell you, I've been having to verbal diarrhea Romanian things to everyone else, and they're about had it with, they're tired of hearing, hey, did you know that in Romanian, pharmacy is actually pharmacy? Shut up. Hey, and then I re-looked at my heritage.com thing, and you know I'm 43% Romanian?
I did.
I forgot, but I appreciate you remembering. And then I was like, and then I sent screenshots to, again, pharmacy people and Dave, and I was like, it's like it's meant to be. I need to return to the homeland.
I think it's crazy because
that I forgot.
Yeah, that you forgot your heritage, but mine's mostly Italian.
Well, I'm 43% Romanian.
I'm like, I think mine was like 62% of different parts of Italian descent, and then the rest is like, I think I was like 20 or 30% Romanian and Ukrainian.
You know how much Italian I have?
Like none.
0.9. So practically yes.
Yeah. Mine is like super crazy high, but that also explains my black hair.
Dave is part Eskimo.
I don't know what to do with that information.
I don't know what to do with any of this information, frankly. And I don't blame anybody else for not knowing what to do with that information either.
Interesting.
But that was Vlad Drakule. Which, by the way, I didn't know prior to this either that in Romania, they, like, the W is called the double V because they pronounce W's as V, which makes more sense. I thought, I've gone my whole life thinking the whole, I want to suck your blood thing. I thought that was because people had their fake teeth in.
You're an idiot.
Well, I'm just saying, is all. I was like, that makes way more sense.
What I gather from this also is that everyone else in your life really appreciates that you get your verbal diarrhea of all the extra out to me, so they are spared.
And what it really tells me is nobody else cares what goes on in my head.
You're welcome.
Yeah. That's what happens when there's no outlet.
It's funny because I was telling Jason last night, I don't remember what we started talking about.
I've been real quiet.
He came upstairs and we were going to watch a show, but I ended up having verbal diarrhea about just stuff. I don't even remember about what it was. And I realized I was kind of monologuing him, but it wasn't like he couldn't say.
Did he think you had an earbud in?
Well, he did, pretty much, because it wasn't like he couldn't say anything. It's just he had nothing to say about the stuff I was talking about. And then I glance over at him and he was like smirking. And I was like, what? And he was like, nothing. And I was like, and I looked at him, I was like, I need to talk to Claire. I hate the days that she works late because then I don't get to talk to her anymore. And he was like, didn't you talk to her this morning? And I was like, you know what? That's enough out of you.
It's been a real tough week for me.
Yeah.
in the scheme of things, I don't know if we'll actually go. I hope we do. So, but we'll see. I think it could be a cool trip.
Make it happen, Dave. Make it happen. You hear your wife's excitement.
Well, and I was trying not to get so distracted that during my break, I was looking at Romanian things. It was real hard to focus. It really was. Like,
This is why you're not getting your continuing education classes done.
shh, hey, shh, shh. I have till December 1st.
Oh, thanks for that. And you guys should watch that movie.
I forgot what movie.
I texted it to you. It's called Dracula, the Untold Story. It's on Netflix.
I'll be curious how much is like they exaggerate.
The route they take it is like he sacrificed his humanity to save his people by becoming this monster.
Well, yeah, so I agree with that because I kind of feel like that's why I know when you only look at the bad things that he did, becoming that monster saved them from, like, it's which evil are you picking from? Because that's where I was kind of trying to explain that with the Ottoman Empire, they were already doing that while Vlad was a boy. So he just learned it and did it way more to an extreme and scared the shit out of people who were doing the same thing. They were ruling through that terror. So it's just like he kind of did. He was like that's where I say he was a savior to some, a national hero even, and then to others like. And there are people who say that whole him leaving a golden cup in the middle of the town square, that didn't actually happen. I could see that also be a National Enquirer thing because it's more of like people were afraid to break the rules because of the consequences, and it was just an example of it could be he could leave a cup in the town square, nobody's going to steal it for fear of being impaled, and it's a pretty solid fear. I can't think of a worse way to go than having a stick slowly inserted in my ass. Seems pretty awful, especially the people who it took days for them to die.
That place smelled awful.
For sure. You smelled it like you could close your eyes and still find your way to town.
It's so horrifying, all the same.
Yeah, it was, because I'm not gonna lie, it was just like a killing the babies and skewering them on their mom's boob seems a little fucked up and beyond punishment.
A little? Just a little?
Well, I also like the whole. I feel like somebody suggested he help the poor of his city, so he's like, "All right, throw a banquet to lure them all in," and then he singed them all to death.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, they're no longer suffering. I feel like whoever recommended he help the poor of his city was doing the blinking of, yes, he did end their suffering.
You know what? Well, Vlad was asked to assist his poor, so he killed them all. That way he would never be asked again.
I think it was more of he was asked to end their suffering. He ended it. It's done. Cured. Problem solved.
No, he misunderstood. He wasn't listening.
Yeah. He was like, got it. Check. Last meal. Eat all you want. Drink all the wine you want. Yeah.
He just didn't listen. He was a bad listener.
A real bad listener.
With a real bad temper. Sew his shirt. I need him in the meeting. He won't come to the meeting till his shirt is sewn. Take a spike in your ass.
Can you imagine all the other ladies just like stitching away rapidly? Like, that's when the sewing machine was born.
That's when Velcro was invented.
Like, not really. All the things. Everybody was real darty-eyed.
Can't imagine why.
And not to be excited about a Romanian trip that may or may not happen, but apparently in October there's heavy fog.
You know what's funny?
What?
Is the morbid history of this is what has you excited about going there. Tell me you have a problem without telling me you have a problem.
I think so.
I hope you bring back a ghost with you.
That's a real weird thing to wish on someone. But anyone else who has a love for Halloween, says the lady who decorates for Halloween in September, that can understand when you get like the whole, when the orange spice comes out, or not the orange spice, pumpkin spice. I had the color right, the fruit wrong. But gourd, whatever pyramid it belongs in. But anyway, when you get the smell of the pumpkin spice in your blood, and it's just like the Halloween season is among us, it's hard not to be drawn into the spooky and the creepy. And I think what makes this more spooky and creepy is you can go to the town, you can walk on the cobblestones, you can practically smell the blood from the pikes.
No, thank you.
That it's just,
you know what? Just grab you a handful of pennies, rub them around in your skin, and
you
then
just,
with your hands.
ew.
That's ew. You're ready to go sniff some bloody cobblestones, but you say ew to smelling pennies. You have issues.
When we're walking the cobblestones, I'll have those pennies ready so that I can put my hand over Dave's face so he can really get immersed in the experience.
Good luck, Dave.
But no, the spooky season. There's other people out there. I know it because there's a whole genre of horror films that people get into. So it seems like a pretty cool area to go to. Not to have been part of, because it seems like a fucked up part of history, but it's scarier because it happened and people are fucked up.
You're gonna go sniff the rocks. I can smell the blood.
I just think it sounds like a real spooky town. And how cool is that to be in Dracula's castle on Halloween?
Good luck.
Anybody else who can beat that, let me know, because I haven't booked any tickets anywhere.
Good luck, Dave.
Well, I'm just saying is all. You get the spooky season about you too, so you can't say that there's not something about Transylvania in October.
Okay. I was simply pointing out that you want to go to Romania and that you could almost smell the blood in the air. That is the comment that you made that made me go, all right, you have a problem, ma'am. There's a difference between enjoying the spooky and wanting to smell the blood in the air. There's
I said you could practically. Dude,
okay.
It was basically leaking into the soil for a solid few years during his reign. So it's like, I feel like you could probably still smell it. I realize not, but I'm just saying it's the birth of Dracula.
Okay, I understand that. It was the comment
Yeah.
that made me point it out.
Anybody else? We'd like to hear from you. Anyone else? Who sides with Andrea? Who sides with the normal side?
That's not normal. I wouldn't want to go somewhere and smell the blood in the air.
Okay, you're focusing on a singular sentence.
Okay, it's recorded how excited you were.
I am very excited. And prepare yourself, because this will not be the last you hear of Romania.
I'm fine with that. You're welcome, Dave.
I can tell you, I have seen the faces. Has it stopped me? It has not.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Homicide Hobbies. If we made you laugh, if we made you cry, or if we mind-fucked you for the day, then we thank you for listening. Please write a review on whatever you're listening to us on. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers. We're freaking awesome. And join us next week for another episode of Homicide Hobbies. I'm Andy.
And I'm Claire.
That's all we've got.